Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Root Beer here, looking at question at number 12 on our grade 7 Gauss paper from 2013. Which of the following pairs of numbers has a greatest common factor, or sometimes called greatest common divisor, of 20? Okay. So, depending on how good you are at GCDs or greatest common factors or whatever you want to call them, you might be able to just sort of read through them. Okay, 200 and 2000, 20 and 25, and you might be able to say, well, yeah, those will have 20 in common. Yeah, those won't have 20 in common. That sort of thing. So for me, I would say okay at doing calculations in my head. I can just see while reading these solutions, C is the answer. And that's more an experience thing, and 20 and 40 they both have factors of 20. But okay, how do you actually approach this question if you're not good at just calculating greatest common divisors? What do you do? Or greatest common factors, I guess is what they're calling them. So I'm going to try and write GCF, greatest common factor. Okay. So what do? Well, we don't actually need to work out the greatest common factors for our numbers. We just need to know whether or not it's going to be 20. And you might say, well, those are the same thing. How do you know it's not 20 unless you know what it is? Okay. Well, for two numbers, maybe call them A and B, the greatest common factor, which we might call D, is the biggest number so that A can be written as A times D, and B can be written as B times D. Little b's turning into our capital B's. Okay, and then little a times D turning into capital A. Okay. Now, if 20 is going to be the biggest one, then A and B shouldn't have anything bigger in common. Now take a look at 200 and 2000. I can write 200 as 200 times 1, and I can write 2000 as 2000 times 10. So clearly 200 is a factor that they have in common, and that is much greater than 20. So we know answer A can't be right because, well, the greatest common factor of these two is at least 200. In fact, it's exactly 200. But we don't need to know that it's exactly 200. We just need to know, well, they've got a common factor of 200. That's much bigger than 20. Okay? How about the next pair? 40 and 50. What do they have in common? Okay, now this is going to go the opposite way. You need to have 20 as a factor in common to both of them. Can I write this number as 20 times something? Yeah, 20 times 2. Is 50 20 times something? Not a whole number. It's 20 times 2.5, but no, 20 isn't a factor of 50. And so actually, anytime we see one of the numbers is 50, we can get rid of it. Well, that only happens once, but we know 20 is not a factor here, so it's not going to come into play. Just like down here, 25 is not a multiple of 20, so how could 20 be a factor of 25? So we know A is out, B is out, D is out. That happened pretty quickly. We're left with E and C. Now, I've already said C is going to be the answer. But let's pretend we didn't know that. What would we do? Okay. So 50 is not a multiple of 20, so B is out. So A is out, B is out, E is out. We're left with 20 and 40, and then 40 and 80. Now, you might say, oh, well, both of these can be written as 20 times something. Okay. Now the big question is, well, how do I know if there's more? Right? Well, take a look at the numbers that are left over. 2 and 4. Do they have anything in common? Do they share any factors? 2 and 4 are both even numbers. They both have a factor of 2. And that tells me there's a bit more to this. Okay? And in fact, yeah, 40 can be written as 40 times 1, and 80 can be written as 40 times 2. So just like in A, we've got a number that they both have in common. They both have a common factor of 40. That's bigger than 20, so that's not going to work. 20 is a factor common to both of them, but it's not the greatest one. Okay? Whereas up here, yeah, 20 is 20 times 1, 40 is 20 times 2, but 1 and 2 don't have anything else in common other than a 1, which doesn't change anything. Okay? And so that's how we can see that, oh, 20 is the greatest common factor. There's nothing else I can add to it to make it bigger and still be a factor to both of them. Okay, so that tells me C is the answer. That's how I would work it out. Okay? Now, if you're curious, if you're interested in this sort of thing. I'm going to leave you here with the common factors of all of them if you want to practice working out common factors. So greatest common factor here is 10, 40, 20, 200, and 5. So if you just want to practice more of those, you don't need to know that these two numbers have a greatest common factor of 5. But if you're interested in practicing greatest common factors, there's a few for you. See if you can confirm them, I guess. Okay. So that's it for question number 12. We can move on to question number 13, and we'll take a look at that in the following video. Take care.